Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 378. I am, of course, TFG1Mike. Joining me is Steve Megatron.
Who?
Or Steve Jokertron. Whoops, wrong.
Oh, yes.
Wrong podcast. Yes. And we are here infrequently. This is the first new episode of The Pull Bag since December of last year. Since I haven't done this show since December, the world has come to an end. I don't have my computer, so I can't do the show properly like I'd like to, but we're giving it a shot because DC Comics
Did something novel?
Did something novelly nostalgic, you could say. They are going back, and they've always had their digital first series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, that kind of thing. Other titles as well have been digital firsts. But they are doing now Batman, The Adventure Continues, or The Adventures Continue. I always screw up the title because it is The Adventures Continue. I never know where to put the right S or the wrong S.
That's what she said.
That's right.
I have no idea what that means, but we'll go ahead with it.
The right S, the wrong S, the red S, the blue S, the brown S. Who knows? The Baroness. I don't know. So this is
my boat, Baroness.
This is a new digital first series written by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. The artist, at least on these first two chapters, is Ty Templeton. Colorist is Monica Kubina. The letterer is Joshua Reed. Cover artist is Dave Johnson. And so I assume they're going to be doing, I'm hoping it's going to be the same art team throughout, because I really dig this art. But basically they're doing two-part stories. Tonight we're talking about Hardware Part 1 and 2. And because this is a digital first series, if you use Comixology's Comixology.com, if you use their guided view, it's built for that. And the guided view is basically showing you panel by panel, and it zooms in on certain things and whatever, and all of this and all of that. And I've ever since I've switched to digital comics way back in 2014, I praise Comixology and their guided view technology. This was a lot better reading it on my phone than most comics are reading on my phone, because I'm not used to reading comics on my phone.
Yeah, I have to say that I did enjoy how well it was readable on the device, because normally I'm not a huge fan of digital comics. Like, I would much prefer to own said comic. Granted, I also am the same one that doesn't want to own them because
Take up too much space.
They take up too much space. And so when you have the nice amalgamation of good art and good implementation, then all things are good.
Yes. I read an interview when this was announced with, I believe it was Paul Dini and Alan Burnett. And basically this takes place in the New Adventures era of Batman the Animated Series. It's going to have all kinds of adventures in here, but the main underlying story is they've finally, because they never actually did it in the animated series originally, They've finally introduced Jason Todd into this. Tim Drake was an amalgamation of what he was, plus a little bit of Jason Todd in the cartoon. And I just, like we said at the beginning of this is very much a nostalgic thing. So this is, like I said, the new Batman Adventures kind of era, red sky, black and gray Batman suit. We open the first chapter, and he's
kicking
fighting
Bane's butt.
Yep.
And I love how he's about to get his back broken. And then all of a sudden, Bane's going down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, well, how did that happen? And then if you look closer on a previous panel, he'd thrown tranquilizer darts, and he's like, I'll have to put, more darts in next time. And he's like, at least that'll be, the easiest thing won't be the worst thing tonight. And then he's like, oh, it's only 10 o'clock. And there's like a Luthor robot running around.
Mm-hmm. Well, we don't know it's a Luthor robot, but we can always assume it's a Luthor robot because Luthor loves robots.
Robots in disguise.
That's the other podcast.
Yes, I know. There was a reason for that. So
I know.
Anyways,
so this new robot is kind of, destroying Gotham, and Batman has to go after it. And we see this shadowy figure. And I forgot how much fun Gotham can be. A little bit of a tease there. It's kind of obvious. You can't see his red hair or anything, but that face, man. And again, I love the art. The jacket that he's wearing reminds me of Commissioner Gordon's jacket in the series with the lapels and all that. Love that. The robot continues to attack Wayne Tech or Wayne Enterprises or Wayne Industries or whatever Wayne thing they're calling the Wayne building now. And he's trying to steal a vault. He does. Batman goes after him. And I gotta say, I love the colors. I love how bright they are, even though it's the red sky Gotham. I've always dug the red sky Gotham because there's so much other colors you can put into it.
Oh yeah, totally. And the funny thing is the sky isn't really red sky in this.
Well, yeah, it kind of is.
In this comic. No, it's blue. It's dark blue. But
no, it's not. Well, okay. Well, where he is, it's red. And I love how throughout these first two chapters, and we'll get to chapter 2 here in a little bit, I love how it kind of ends with round 1. Like it's a boxing match.
He's like, okay, you win this round.
Mm-hmm. So we go back to the Batcave, and Bruce is like, I'm going to be here working all night. Alfred's like, no, sir, you're not. You have this gala. And you'll never guess who the guest of honor is. And lo and behold, introduce Lex Luthor.
I love the attention to detail. And yes, it does change back to red sky. Just in the beginning, it was blue. But I do love the fact that they insinuate they're like, oh, we couldn't find Superman. Oh, and everybody has the exact look that they did in the animated series.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome.
Yep. And because this is young Bruce, we have Veronica Vreeland, unlike later in his adventures, we would have Bunny Vreeland at the beginning of Batman Beyond. So this is Veronica Vreeland. And Lex Luthor shows up. And oh my God, I can hear all of these voices in my head.
Oh no, that's the beautiful part about it, is that you know exactly what they sound like when they're saying this. Now, did you watch Kevin Conroy reading this?
Yes, I did watch part of that.
I didn't get to listen to it yet, but I fully intend to.
Yeah, I watched part of it. Yeah, that's so cool that he's doing that. But yeah, it's so funny. I can, like you said, I can so hear Kevin and Clancy doing this, where Lex is like, scrubby little madman thinks he's so tough, though he wasn't very effective last night, was he? It could have gone better. I love that.
It makes you wonder if Lex actually knows it's him, or if the fact that, just goading him with it, or if it's a little bit different than what you imagine.
I don't think Lex ever found out. If we're talking about the whole DCAU and not just this section here, I don't think at this point Lex knows, and I don't think Lex ever found out, personally. I kind of like it that way because it gives their Bruce Wayne, Lex Luthor, like the whole thing at the end here. By the way, what did they get? The robot. I presume it didn't program itself. Wish I could tell you. Be that way. Like, it's this whole, and then Lex's constant disdain for Batman is just, it just takes it even further.
Which is beautiful.
Yes, it is. Very much so. And we get a Batmobile shot in the Batcave. Very cool, very cool. Batman ends up going to this hangar, which we assume Lex owns, I guess, and knocks out the guard and gets in, sees the robot, gets the scanner on there, and
then he gets blasted.
By a green ray. Oh, who could that be? Next, in the clutches of Luthor. This first chapter, I really dug. Like I said, I love how the story opens up, and it's if you know this universe, if you know Alan Burnett and Paul Dini and the way that they approach the universe. I don't want to say it's formulaic, because I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but, it's kind of a little bit formulaic. We start with Bruce, or we start with the robot, and Batman and everything else, and all that, and then you get to Lex and his introduction and them going back and forth, and then you kind of end it with, oh, hey, Lex Luthor has your number. And like you said, the art is really, really, like...
Well, the beautiful thing is it's spot on. Like, if this was still animated...
Yeah.
I would be going, oh, wow, this is great.
Yep.
Be like, this is the best thing since sliced bread.
That's right. You leave Christian Bale out of this. Yeah.
I don't wear hockey pads. It's the only Batman voice I can do authentically.
Yes. The cool thing about this is, though, while I would love this to be animated, I really would. I love that it's a comic, and the way that it is the comic that it is, because you get the title card, Hardwire Part 2, same creative team, so I don't have to say all that again, but, you basically get what would be the animated series in comic book form, and they can have however long DC wants them to be doing this series, they can tell whatever story they want to within the confines, obviously, of the universe and what's already happened, but they can still create new things. Like, this is somewhere between New Adventures and something else. So Batman and Superman have already met, so this is obviously... Lex even mentions it about, he hates being in Gotham because of that incident with the Joker. So this is most definitely post World's Finest, because he already hates Batman. He already met Batman. So it's somewhere between World's Finest and wherever else we pick up with Lex in the actual animated series. So chapter 2 starts off, and Lex and Batman are still going at it. He still has Batman by the throat. And what's in the vault? Brainiac's head.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise, actually. I did not see it coming.
That's good though.
But yeah, I mean that was not something I expected, and it was good.
Yep. Absolutely. Once again, the art is amazing, and I love Batman's exchange with Luthor and how he gets out of being held up by his neck and his shirt and whatever. I also said Wayne's people had gone through it. By people, I meant me. We get an explanation how he was able to hotwire Brainiac's head, and he fires a beam out of Brainiac's eyes at Luthor. It's so refreshing to see, and I know a lot of people that are like us that have seen the DCAU that will go back and rewatch it and be like, oh, I wish there was just a little bit more. Well, this new series is that little bit more we've been waiting for. Because I honestly don't think Warner Brothers or DC are going to actually go back to this in animation. I wish they would, but I don't think they will. So continuing on in the story here, we see the emergence of a new robotic batsuit that he's going to be using against Luthor. We see Alfred with the schematic of the robot that they scanned and realizes that that's...
There's a battery in it.
That's no cockpit. That's a battery. Dun, dun, dun. You got Batman holding somebody up by their foot and... Oh, he got in a jet, and he did this, and he did that, and Batman goes after the jet, Lex goes after Batman. And, you know, this giant fight, and I love that they have the fight scene, and Batman, attaches some sort of wire to the robot, and he gives it a kryptonite injection. Next thing you know, 2 giant red beams come out of the chest of the robot.
That was just brilliant.
Yes, it was.
I loved Bats being in the suit, and then I loved the fact that he's just like, womp, and then took out Luthor just by, proxy of knowing what's inside.
Yep.
So, it was quite humorous.
Yes, very much so.
You suck, Lex.
Yep.
It's like, Bats has your number. He has it figured out. You're screwed.
Yep. And as I already mentioned, I figured if I could hit you with a kryptonite charge, I might be able to break whatever mind-controlled state you were in. Once again, I owe you. Just get rid of this thing. Maybe toss it into the sun. It's Madman candy.
I did like that.
Yeah, that was awesome. And the Batman part of this story ends with, he really is a Boy Scout. And then we meet back up with the shadowy figure and gets into a argument with some guy on the street because this guy has just been standing there forever. But so Jason Todd.
Mm-hmm. I love how they made him like a little bit older, but there's not enough there to really know what's going on with him.
Right. There's just enough to know, at the very
something
end.
Screwy with this guy.
Yeah.
Like, don't
mess with him.
But it's kind of nice too because you never, even in Batman Beyond, you never even hear of Jason Todd. But right. Bruce also is the same type of person in the program that he doesn't necessarily talk about things. So I mean it's kind of, you kind of see where it's going there.
Yep. And that's a good thing because you kind of, but you don't really, because you don't know what they're going to come up with after this.
No.
We just got introduced to Jason Todd here. Who knows what's going to be told after this, and that's the good thing. That's the interesting thing is they can have this whole Bruce Luthor, Batman Luthor, Superman Luthor, Batman story, and these little hints of Jason running throughout, and that's what makes it interesting. That's what makes this a great read.
Oh yeah,
is
totally.
we can have everything that we are expecting out of these things, and then you can have things that you never would have expected.
So where do you think it's going to go from here?
I don't know, because I assume the next two chapters, Deathstroke comes to Gotham. I'm not sure where it's gonna go, and I'm really excited about that. Because again, you know, we often have talked about on this podcast since 2012 when you and I started it pseudily over on Geekcast Radio, is that there's so many stories in comics that they're all the stories have all kind of been told kind of thing. Well, no, that's not technically true. Yes, there's like 80, 90 years of comics continuity, but you don't have to read all of that to read this or to read whatever other story you may want to read. You can jump in anywhere at any time.
Oh yeah, totally. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yep. So yeah, chapters 1 and 2 of the Batman: The Adventures Continue. I really dug it. I thought it was cool. I didn't even like. Normally, I would try to find something after the fact of reading it that I didn't like, but there wasn't anything in this that I didn't like. The art is spot on. The writing is cool. If I can hear the voice actors in my head as I'm reading the lines, it's damn good.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is like the writing. You have the original writing team, and so it's going to sound like something you would hear from within it because it's not out of the realm of believability with the characters.
Yep.
And that's what I really enjoy about it. It's not so much that they're reprising it and bringing it back, although that is part of it. It's a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're getting that continuation that we've kind of always wanted, but never had the option of getting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So for me, scale of 0 to 5, I'd probably give it a 4.5 or just a straight 5 for both chapters because I didn't see anything to. It was more pure enjoyment for me coming back into this universe and looking at it. I mean, if I really want to nitpick something, I'm not thrilled that they kind of give him an old Grayson kind of cut with the black hair and the white wisp in the front on Jason, but whatever, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just happy that there's new stories.
Oh yeah, and that to me is probably the best part.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, like we'll see where it goes in the storyline.
Yep.
But for me, this is probably one of the strongest comics I've read in some time that have been tied to a franchise. So it's definitely a plus for me.
Absolutely. 0 to 5 for you?
I think this is one of the few I would give a 5. And it's not just the nostalgia talking, it's just that it's genuinely good writing.
Yeah, exactly. We're dipping back into this universe, but with a fresh, like they're not trying to tie up loose ends. Okay, the one loose end that they're trying to tie up is that they never introduced Jason Todd into the actual animated series.
I think that they were always planning on it.
Right, it just never happened because of whatever happened.
Well, there just really wasn't a good enough story reason, I think.
Right, absolutely.
So,
yeah. So that's going to do it for this episode, I think. A short one, to say the least, folks. But these little digital chapters, that's why we're doing them 2 at a time, as long as there's multi-part stories, part 1, part 2. 2 comics for the price of 1, I guess, kind of thing. I mean, and honestly, digital comics, digital first series like this, these issues were 99 cents. So that's not too bad to jump onto something new, folks.
No, not really, and that honestly is like well within my price range.
Mine too.
Yeah, when it's like those $3 to $5 comic books. It just
That's when I usually wait for the trade. I don't mind spending the trade costs like $10.99, $11.99, $19.90. That I will wait for trade on the $3.99, $4.99, $5.99 books.
Yeah, and honestly, that's just when things get within the realm of cheapness. And
yep,
I'm not saying that creators shouldn't be paid for what they do, because I honestly
Absolutely.
think that they should.
Yes.
But at the same time, it has to be affordable.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we just don't have a lot of these days. And so if you can get a strong story and then it's worth it, then by all means, then yeah, you should. But
absolutely,
support your comic creators.
Support your comic creators, support your local comic shops, especially in this post. I can't say post because we're still living in it, in this new world of ours with COVID-19 and whatever else, and trying not to make this episode about the virus, because you and I have already talked about it on other podcasts that we've done in the past month or so. But comics is
should have like the Milo Murphy's world. It's you could easily like bash that and turn it into the COVID world.
Oh no, don't do that.
It's my world and we're all living in it.
Oh Lord.
That's horrible.
All right, on that note, make your okay, wait, before I lost myself here. Where can people find? Well, I don't know. Where can the people find you online to bitch at your bad jokes?
They can find me on the Twitter sphere at SCP21.
I am at TFG1Mike. You can also follow at the Pullbag and at Geekcast Radio as well. Make your great escape into comics. Join us next time when we're either going to be going to a Transformers galaxy far, far away, or back to Gotham with the next two chapters of this series as well. We'll catch you next time, folks, here inside the Pullbag.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.